Hey guys, what's up? It's iFlynn here, and welcome to the first ever episode of Warframe, the Ultimate Beginner's Guide 2.0. Yep, another year, another beginner's guide. I know you guys who have been long-time subs to the channel are probably sick of seeing beginner's guides, but I felt bad for not finishing the one that we started off last year, and I thought that, hey, let's make a even better one this year, which is kind of a return to form where we do it with no script or anything like that. So, this year's beginner guide is going to be completely unscripted, but before we move on with the guide and the video, big disclaimer. Content within Warframe is always changing, so things that I may recommend to you guys in this guide might be different to like a year or two down the line. So if you're watching this like a year or so after it was uploaded, make sure to double check with the Reddit and the wiki and on my channel to see if there are new guides and new recommendations and stuff like that available for you so you don't mess up somewhere. So yeah, with all that being said, before we move on with the actual progressing through the star chart and stuff like that, I want to like do a quick segue over to what we call the simulacrum in Warframe, which is basically the testing grounds to show you guys what the free starter Warframes do, so I can give you my recommendation and also show you guys what the other two Warframes that I don't recommend do as well. So yeah, have fun watching that. Alright, so before we move on with this year's guide, I wanted to demonstrate to you guys basically the free starter Warframes and all of their abilities. I'm going to start off with Mag, then I'm going to show Vault, and then I'm going to show the Warframe that I recommend that all the beginners choose, Excalibur, and I'll explain why whenever we finally get to him. So we're just going to do a basic run through of all the Warframes and their abilities. We're not going to talk about their passives or how to mod them or anything like that, just a basic rundown of what their abilities do. So this is Mag. She is a magnetic Warframe who has some pretty wacky abilities. So if we go ahead and we spawn in some corrupted lancers, I can demonstrate her first ability, which is called Pull. Now her first ability, it's probably her funnest ability because basically what you do is you press 1 and the enemy's ragdoll towards you. It deals damage. You can increase the amount of damage that this deals by throwing mods onto your Warframe, and also the radius that this one ability affects by throwing on power range mods. Mods in this game are basically what you're going to use to upgrade your Warframes, weapons, companions, etc., throughout the entire game. So the mods make the Warframes, the mods make the weapons, that type of thing. But yeah, her first ability, really fun, really wacky, good to get you out of a tight spot whenever there's a lot of enemies running around and you just need to sort of like ragdoll them or CC them. Not necessarily made for killing. So yeah. Second ability, it's called Magnetize. It's kind of like a bullet attractor ability. So you're going to put a big bubble around an enemy, and any fire that is going to come through this bubble is going to be drawn towards the enemy that is within the center. Now, enemies who are near the bubble are going to be drawn into it. And what happens is the absorbed damage is going to then come out of the bubble in a small explosion whenever the time for it runs out. So it's going to like sort of shrink in on itself and then do that little explosion as you guys seen. So that's pretty cool. Third ability, we're going to need to spawn in higher level enemies. I'm able to manipulate the level of the enemies here by, actually let's make them 60 in case I accidentally kill them, by just tweaking that little number there. So we're going to go ahead, spawn in those enemies, and we need to get close to them. What our third ability does, it allows us to strip away armor and shields from enemies. So these enemies right here, they have a yellow health bar, and this yellow health bar signifies that they have a certain amount of armor, right? So you're never going to know the exact value unless you look it up. But while the enemy has a yellow health bar, it basically means they have at least 1 point or higher of armor on them. So what we can do with the third ability is we can completely strip that away if we spam it enough. You can see that it deals damage as well. So it took us 3 casts there to take away all of the enemy's armor, right? So he's now got a red health bar, which means he's going to be easier to kill, right? Now, you're also going to notice that it dropped these little shards right here. And these little shards will actually be picked up by your second ability to deal more damage, right? So if we go ahead and we press R2, it's going to suck up those shards, and it's going to deal damage to the enemies that are within the center. So it's just basically like helping your overall damage output, right? So pretty cool. Use your 3 and your 2 in conjunction with one another to maximize the amount of damage that you deal. These 2 abilities are going to be the abilities that you use if you are struggling to kill an enemy with Mag. So you're going to have to, you know, mod around those enemies whenever you get into modding your Warframes, right? But that's not all Mag can do. I would say that her fourth ability is probably her coolest ability, but we're going to have to spawn in a lot more enemies than just 2 to show it off. So what happens with her fourth ability is we basically just pick everything up that is around us, and we deal damage to it. And it also increases the amount of shields that we have. So if you take a look in the top right-hand corner, you can see that as we cast our 4th ability, we're getting more shields. Now, it changes my shield bar from blue to purple, and that just signifies that we have over shields, right? So that's shields that are higher than our maximum shield value at base. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. So you just keep on spamming that. CC ability, again, you can increase the damage that it deals by throwing on power shrink mods and stuff like that. But not made for killing, more made for CC. So Mag overall is a CC Warframe with some damage dealing abilities mixed in there. So she's a pretty good frame, and she's definitely not bad as a starter. But the thing is, like, she really shines whenever she gets to endgame, right? So that's why she's not recommended as a starter. On top of that, you can get her rather early as well. So that's pretty much all there is to say about Mag. Moving on to Volt. Volt is our electric Warframe. Let's see if I can pick up a Volt that doesn't look super fancy. Let me see which one I have that doesn't look fancy. They all look fancy, man. So this is the type of stuff that you can get whenever you get to endgame Warframe, basically. Let's see. Does this one have any basic... There we go. So this is Volt Prime. So he's a Prime version of Volt, but there's not that much of a difference between a Prime frame and a regular version of a frame. Just a few values or tweaks such as energy or armor, which in the greater scheme of things doesn't really mean much. It's just like the amount of capacity you can have for your energy. Like you can hold more maximum energy. You use energy to cast abilities, so it's like your mana bar. It's down the bottom right there, so you can see that I currently have 300. Different Prime Warframes are going to have different stats change compared to their normal version, but that's a topic for another video. So yeah, this is Volt. He is our electric Warframe. He's really cool, he's really versatile, and he's really efficient. So his first ability is what you would expect. This is a stun damage dealing ability where you can shoot lightning from your hand and it's going to stun the enemies and chain lightning to one another, dealing damage. So pretty cool. I wouldn't recommend using it all the time because it deals very low damage, but it's good to stun enemies to get you out of a pickle. The second ability is probably Volt's most used ability. This ability is called Speed. It just speeds you up, makes you really fast. You're going to be using this a lot to get through like the likes of a capture mission or a rescue mission or a spy mission, to just get it done as fast as possible to get the reward at the end, because at the end of the day, this is a farming game and being efficient is number one, right? So that's basically all there is to that ability. You can also increase your melee attack speed with it, so that's a thing. And I think your reload speed is increased as well, so yeah, keep that in mind as well. It's technically increasing your DPS with your melee and your primary and your secondary weapons, so yeah, that's something that I also should add on. Third ability, Electric Shield. So does what you'd expect. It blocks incoming damage. Nothing can get through this. Nothing can break it. You can pick it up, but whenever you move around it, it's going to drain your energy over time, so I don't recommend doing that. Whenever you're shooting through it, it adds electric and bonus crit damage to your weapons. So shooting through the shield basically adds bonus damage. Good little tip if you're struggling to kill a certain enemy and you happen to choose Volt. I'm trying to see if I can get an electric proc to go off there, but it doesn't seem to be working. That's just a slash proc. There's the electric one. I've got no electric mods on this primary weapon, and we got the electric damage off, well, the electric proc off on that enemy, so just to demonstrate that it does indeed add bonus electric damage. So yeah, that's a thing. Fourth ability. This is a CC damage dealing ability, which I need a little bit more energy for. And I'm going to have to be close to these enemies here because I don't have a lot of power range on this build that I'm running on Volt. So basically, you press 4, jump in the air, let out a shockwave all around you, and it's lightning that chains to enemies and keeps them in place for a pretty good period of time. So it's basically like a better version of your 1. It holds the enemies in place for longer and deals a lot more damage, and also chains from enemy to enemy. So that is Volt. He is a very, 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 very good frame. He's used in a lot of endgame activities. If you pick them up, you know, good choice, honestly, but you can get him later on in the game. He's quite easy to get, honestly. He is the most expensive out of the free to pick up, but he's still a good choice. You also have his passive, so if you look up there in the top right, beside my health bar, the more you walk around, the more static you build up, and then the next damage is just going to have that, or the next attack is going to have that bonus damage added onto it, right? So you didn't see the full 467 that we had built up because that guy has armor, which negates the damage. That's why it said 30 there. So yeah, that is Volt. And now on to the one that I recommend, Excalibur. Now, Excalibur is your poster boy of Warframe. He is all about swords and he's the Warframe that I recommend that you pick up as a starter. The reason being is because his fourth ability and his second ability, working in conjunction with one another, are going to allow you to one-shot Spectre bosses, right? So Spectre bosses show up on these things called junctions. Junctions are basically your gateways to other planets. Now, these junctions are going to require you to complete 3 or 4 challenges, and once you complete them, you're going to have to fight a Spectre boss. And these Spectre bosses are Warframes, and as you've probably figured out already, Warframes have different armor values. Some have very large ones, some have very low ones. The ones with a larger armor value are going to be harder to kill than the ones with the lower armor values, right? So, for example, Valkyr has a very high armor value, where Mag has a relatively low armor value. So, fighting Mag is easier than fighting Valkyr. So, basically, what we're going to be able to do with Excalibur is we're going to be able to use our melee weapon to do a finisher attack on the enemy. So, let's talk about the first ability first. First ability is called Slash Dash. It's going to zip you towards an enemy, and you're going to deal damage to him with your sword. Now, if you end up killing him, you're going to cut him in half. So we should probably do that now. We cut him in half. Pretty cool, pretty gory. It's a cool ability, but you're mainly going to be using this to get around. So you're going to be jumping around with your Warframe, doing your mobility combo or whatever, your bullet jumping. And then at the end of your bullet jump, you're going to go ahead and you're going to press 1 to sort of throw you a little bit further to get around the map and do your missions a little bit more efficiently. So that's Slash Dash. Second ability is Radial Blind. Now, this ability is going to blind all enemies within the radius of the ability that are in line of sight. So if we go ahead and we press 2, it's going to blind all these enemies, and then what we can do is we can walk up to these enemies and we can do a finisher attack by pressing X, and we're just going to put them down basically. So we get a pretty hefty bonus just from stabbing these guys, which deals a lot of damage, right? So that's really cool. Third ability is called Radial Javelin. This is an AoE ability which isn't used too much because you have to invest a lot of power strength mods to make it really, really good. And whenever you invest a lot of power strength mods to make it really, really good, say for example you throw on a mod called Blind Rage, it's going to make your abilities cost more energy, so you can't spam it over and over and over again. So it's not used too much, but it is good at the lower levels to just kill enemies. So you see how it barely dealt any damage to these guys. At the lower levels, this is going to be a crutch ability because it's going to allow you to just, you know, kill a lot of enemies in a very short period of time. So it's good at the beginning of the game, but then later on it starts to fall off pretty hard. So yeah, moving on to his fourth and final ability, probably the reason that you're going to pick up Excalibur to begin with, his Exalted Blade. So if you go ahead and you press 4, you're going to bring out this unique sword that is unique to Excalibur. That's why it's a unique sword. Whenever you swing it, you're going to let out waves of energy. Now, mine's is currently letting out corrosive damage because that's just how I have it modded, and I have my Excalibur modded, but yours is going to match your energy color, but it's going to deal, you know, just your basic damage to begin with at the beginning of the game, right? So it's still going to be very strong because that's the entire reason you're picking up Excalibur, because this is basically like a melee weapon in itself. It's got very high base stats on it. So you're going to use this in conjunction with your second ability to blind enemies and then do a finisher on them, and then, you know, just kill them really quickly. You see we did like 28k damage or something there. So you can just keep on spamming this ability. It's just like a normal melee weapon. You just keep on hitting E, and you know, you let out the waves, and you can walk up close to the enemies and whatnot, like so, to kill them like that. It's totally up to you. But it's a really, really, really good ability, and it drains energy over time. So if you take a look down the bottom right-hand corner, you can see that it's draining energy over time. There's ways to minimize the amount of energy that it drains, and there's ways to increase the amount of damage that it deals. You can also throw mods on this weapon independently to make it deal even more damage, right? So it's like its own unique weapon in that sense, which is unique to Excalibur. So, that's pretty much it. That is all of the Warframes, and with all that being said, let's jump right in and start talking about how we progress through the star chart. Alright, so hopefully after seeing that little video clip of all the Warframes in action, you now understand what all those Warframes and their abilities, what they do. So hopefully that makes the choice of your first starting Warframe a little bit easier. Now, after you pick your starting Warframe, you're going to be greeted with the choices of selecting your primary weapon, your melee weapon, and your secondary weapon. Now, these choices don't matter whatsoever because you're going to be able to get these weapons very easily. And I mean very easily, like as soon as we get our ship up and running. And that is basically our first task of the entire playthrough, right? So you can see that we have this little thing on our arm and another thing on our leg. We have to get that off while also repairing our ship. So you're going to get a lot of dialogue from a character known as Ortis and one called the Ludus. Basically, just listen to them and then follow along with this quest called Once Awake. Once you complete this quest called Once Awake, the game is basically like all yours to explore and do whatever you want with. So this quest is going to guide you through the process of just getting your ship up and running. So we're just going to follow along with it throughout this guide, and I'm going to explain things as I see fit whenever we jump into them. So this first thing that we're going to be turning on is our arsenal, where we're going to go to select our warframes, weapons, and install mods onto our frame as well. So yeah, just watch this nice little cutscene, which I think is new because I've never seen that before. So this is my first time replaying through the game ever since they changed up how the ship looks. So I've got the dialogue turned off, so you know, I'm going to ruin the cutscenes and stuff talking through this playthrough. That way, if you want to be like fully immersed, play through the game yourself. There is a lot of like lore and backstory to Warframe, but whenever you see that little yellow marker, basically means that you are ready to go, right? So we want to come up here, go to this little yellow marker, and you're greeted with the star chart. Now, the star chart is sort of like your first point of contact with choosing your own mission. So if you look up here in the top right-hand corner of your star chart, you have this little tab, which you can go ahead and you can press the X with the little dot in the middle symbol. That signifies a quest. So this here symbol always means quest. You want to press that and then see which quest you have active. So the one that we have active is Forest Prize. If you press this here, it's going to take you to the mission that you need to do to progress through War's Prize, right? So up here in the top left as well, you've also got your what's it called? Your matchmaking. So you can set it to public, friends only, invite only. I'm going to be playing on solo because I don't want people jumping into our mission and making it take longer. And then, yeah, so basically just go ahead, select the mission with the little stretched X with the dot in the middle and just play that. So this first mission that we're in is called a spy mission, where all you have to do is retrieve some data from a vault that the enemies have hidden on this planet. So we're going to be following this little A symbol right here. We're going to hack this console just by pressing the spacebar whenever the little arrow is over the thing that wants us to press at. And we want to avoid all the lasers and sort of detection type stuff in this room. So this is a nice little shortcut that I like to show newer players. You shoot open that vent and then you drop down this hole and it takes you right into the vault room. And you can go ahead and hack this console, seeing what you did before. And yeah, there you go. That is the mission complete. All you have to do is make it to the exit now, which is that little green symbol right there. So a few tips whenever it comes to parkouring and stuff like that, because honestly, your ability to parkour is what is going to, in my opinion, make you a good or a bad Warframe player. So I can show you my key bindings as well. I have pretty weird key bindings. So if we go ahead and we pause the game, we go to options, we go to customize key bindings, and we scroll down. These three options at the very top here, hold the crouch, sprint, roll, and sprint. These are the three that I changed. So I have my hold the crouch on shift, I've got my sprint roll on mouse button 4, and I've got my sprint on mouse button 5. Basically, what I'm doing whenever I am running for the game, I'm holding down mouse button 5 at all times, and then whenever I want to go into a slide, I'm just holding down shift with my pinky finger. So I've got my thumb on mouse button 5, making it so I'm constantly sprinting, and then whenever I want to slide, I can even slide in midair. I just use my pinky to press down shift, and then what I do is I use my thumb on my left hand to press spacebar to go ahead and bullet jump, right? So you can bullet jump twice, so you can put 2 jumps in there, and then at the end of that, what you can do is you can take your thumb away from mouse 5 at the end of your second jump, and then press mouse 4 twice to do like a double roll. And then after that, you can go ahead and you can aim glide after your roll is over to, you know, just get a little bit more momentum. And that is basically parkouring in Warframe. You don't have to worry too much about killing all the enemies. They are XP, but you're better off just like rushing to the later planets before you start worrying about farming XP unless you desperately need to. So yeah, don't worry too much about killing every single enemy. Don't worry too much about picking up every single container. Just go in, get the mission done, get out, and then, you know, keep on progressing until we get to the later planets, and then you'll understand exactly why I'm telling you guys to ignore all the sort of like trash mobs, I guess you could say. So yeah, I'll see you guys back in the ship. Alright, so once we get back into our ship, we basically just have to install the segment that we got from the previous mission. So we just head up to this thing and press X. This is your market where you will buy stuff, right? You can buy stuff for the premium currency known as platinum, or you can buy stuff for the in-game currency, which is known as credits. And I want to get this out of the way like as soon as possible. What I want you guys to do is I want you to come to the search and I want you to type in slots. Now, this is the #1 limiting factor within Warframe that is going to either make or break your progress within the game, right? So you have Warframe slots and you have weapon slots, and basically you have to buy slots with the premium currency or go about other tedious ways of getting these slots to store more of your Warframes and your weapons. Otherwise, you're going to have to delete Warframes and weapons that you've previously farmed up, right? So what I recommend players do is I recommend that you purchase 2 Warframe slots because Warframes are very, 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 very powerful. And then you can go ahead and go for weapon slots at a later date, right? So if we go ahead and type in weapon slots, they cost 12 platinum as well. I would recommend going for the Warframe slots first so you can have those Warframes there, because Warframes are actually worth more Master XP, which is kind of like account XP. And whenever we do purchase a weapon slot, whenever we get the platinum for it, you're going to get 2 of those instead of 1, right? So using your beginning platinum to get those bonus Warframe slots, in my opinion, is a lot better because Warframes can make or break certain missions, right? So it's best to farm up as many Warframes as possible. So you have that choice, you have that variety there, right? There's a lot of weapons that we're going to get to begin with that we're going to be scrapping anyway, because what we have to do is we have to get a weapon and then level it from level 0 to level 30 to get the mastery or the account XP from it. So that's how you go about leveling your account. You level new things from level 0 all the way up to level 30, and that's how you sort of like upgrade your account to unlock more stuff, right? So yeah, we're just going to keep on going and following the instructions on here. Next thing we have to do is we have to do another mission for Vor's Prize, liberate the imprisoned arms dealer. So this is a rescue mission, so I'll see you guys in there. Alright, so this is a rescue mission. This is also a very, like, easy mission where you just have to sort of go to one location, do your thing, and then get out again. So we are outside the holding cell for the prisoner that we're trying to rescue. So we just come up to this, what we usually call a friendship door. Whenever you're playing solo, it doesn't require 2 players to open this, but whenever you're playing co-op, it does require 2 people. So if you're playing public, this tends to hold you back because you get a slowpoke who doesn't, you know, they're not fast enough to get to the door. But you just go ahead, open this up, and then what you want to do is stick to the right-hand side here. And then there is a little vent over here that we can break open. Go through this vent. And then we can hack the consoles that are here so we can free the prisoner, right? So just do your regular hacking. It's not in that one. Check the other one. And he's going to be in here. Now, you can choose to give him a secondary weapon if you want. You don't necessarily have to stick by him. It's not like one of those quests where you have to sort of like, you know, escort the person to the exit or anything. You can just skip ahead to the end of the mission, which is what I'm going to do. So I'll see you guys back in the ship. All right, so whenever you get back into your ship, again, you just want to install this thing over here. This is your modding station, where you're going to be able to upgrade and view all of the mods that you have collected throughout your time of playing Warframe. So you would have noticed at the end of the missions that you just played, you were rewarded with mods which you can now come up to the station, upgrade, sell, etc, etc. Now, a lot of the mods that you're being gifted at the beginning of the game are broken, so it's not worth upgrading these with a resource known as Endo. So that resource in the top right hand corner there, you do not want to spend that on these broken mods because they're not worth it. You can get the fixed versions of these mods very quickly later on in the game, so it's not worth upgrading these. There may be a few scenarios where you might want a little bit more of, let's say, power duration or power strength or something like that, but I wouldn't say that these are worth it as of right now to upgrade, because there's other mods which you can be upgrading, like a regular vitality, which is going to give your Warframe more health. And trust me, your survivability, if I can say the word, is very important early game, because you don't want to be jumping into a mission and then dying over and over and over again, because you're limited to the amount of times that you can revive yourself, right? So, it's important that you're able to survive during the missions that you're playing so you don't lose all of your stuff. So, we come over here and it's going to ask us to equip mods to our Warframe and our weapons. So we go ahead, we hover over our Warframe tab and we press upgrade, and then we can just go ahead and throw on stuff. So we've got this cool thing within Warframe called polarities, which are basically these little shapes on the top right hand corner of our mods and on the blank spots of our Warframe. These are referred to as polarities. We can just call them shapes for now, totally up to you. But we have a V polarity on this continuity mod on the top right hand corner, and then to the right of the little shape, that's how much modding capacity the mod is going to cost, right? So if you match the shape, it's going to half the cost of the mod. So this continuity mod on a blank slot, it costs 2 capacity off our Warframe, but if we put it onto a matching slot, right? So we drag it over, it's only going to cost 1, right? So it's basically just a game of matching the shapes to, you know, get as many upgrades on your Warframe as possible. The more you level up your Warframe, the more capacity it's going to have. So once we hit level 5, it's going to have 5 capacity, level 6, 6 capacity, so on and so forth. And there's other things that you can do to double the capacity. So for example, we can install a thing called an Orokin Reactor, which is going to permanently double the capacity of our Warframe. So if it's level 5, it's going to have 10 capacity. If it's level 30, it'll have 60. And that stays on it forever. It never leaves. You never have to sort of like put another one on or anything like that. It stays on forever once it's on. So you only need to get one of those. You can commonly get those from alerts and Nightwave and stuff like that, but we'll cover that stuff in a later video. So yeah, just go ahead and throw on the mods which you see fit. I would recommend throwing on the Vitality mod to increase your health. Shields are alright at the beginning of the game, but I wouldn't recommend them deep into the game. Like, I wouldn't get attached to them. I definitely prefer your non-broken Vitality mod whenever you get it over your non-broken redirection, right? So, and then on top of that, we can go ahead and we can throw on our continuity mod. These are the mods that I would recommend throwing on your Excalibur, and then the polarities on your mag and your vault are probably going to be different. So just match the shapes and do what best suits your Warframe at the given time. So, yep, you can go ahead and you can do the exact same thing for your weapons as well if you've got the mods for it. So just go ahead, plop them on if they fit. And then, yeah, you can't throw the pressure point on because it's too high of a rank. We also got this Parazon thing here. We're not going to be using this for a very long time, so don't worry too much about this. I wonder if they give us any mods. They don't. So, yeah, just don't worry about this here thing yet. This is basically the thing that you put in to hack the consoles with. So, yeah, not too sure why they give you that from the very, very beginning. But I'm going to wait for the dialogue to stop, and then we're going to move on with the next mission. All right, guys, so this mission is basically a introduction to Exterminate missions, except you have to pick up this here little segment right here. So we pick it up, and then it's going to ask us to just kill 30 enemies. Exterminate missions are basically just missions where you have to kill all of the bad guys. So this should be pretty straightforward, honestly. Just go around and kill all of the Grenier enemies. So that's what this faction is called. These guys are called the Grenier. They are enemies that have armor, and you know, they're not so hard of a faction to deal with. They're definitely the tankiest faction in the game, but there's nothing really too annoying about them as of yet. They can definitely add stuff into the future, but I would say that they are the coolest faction that you're going to come across in the star chart. So just run around, kill the 30 enemies, get to the end of the mission, and then I will talk to you guys back in the ship. Alright, so once you get back into your ship, your next quest is to install your Foundry segment. So you just walk up to this thing, plug in the thing that we picked up in that mission. And this is basically going to be where we start to craft our Warframes with the resources that we gather from the missions that we play. So you've got your Warframes, your weapons, different gear and stuff which are going to be built here. So you can see that we already have stuff in our Foundry to begin with. So the thing that we're going to be building to complete this quest is called the Ascaris Negator. This is basically just a little device which is going to take the device that is on our leg and our arm off of us. So, you know, we can't build it right now, but that's going to be the next quest, like our introduction to resources. Now, if you pay attention to the bottom right here, you can see that we have a components tab. This is the resources that we have gathered thus far. No idea how I've got cryotic, because that's something that you get from a certain type of mission that we haven't played. Don't know how I have that, but we have it anyway. But you can see that here are a few resources that we've already gathered, and this little components page is a good way to keep track of the resources that you have, how much you have, etc., etc. So yeah, I'm just going to wait for the cutscenes or the dialogue to finish, and then we're going to jump straight into the next mission. Alright guys, so like I said back in the ship, this mission is basically your introduction to resources. You can come around and you can break all these containers and stuff like that. And you'll notice that you get a bunch of resources from just breaking them. Now, during the game, there's going to be a lot of resources just laying around that you're going to want to just run around and smash to sort of like maximize the amount of loot you get. I would say don't do that. Just skip ahead and try to complete your missions as fast as possible. There are certain resources that you will be looking out for while you're playing that you'll see in those little containers and stuff like that, because they'll have sort of their own form or their own sort of like unique containers. Like, for example, there's a perfect example. Like, here's Rubido, a resource known as Rubido. It takes the form of this whenever you're out and about. Not necessarily a rare resource, so you don't have to worry about collecting every single one of these things that you see, right? Like, 9 times out of 10, completing the mission fast is going to be more important than running around and getting all those little resource caches that are lying about, right? So, on top of that, this is also an introduction to the Corpus faction. Like, these guys have shields, as you can see. I know I mentioned in my my little preview of the Warframes, like, Mag can strip away armor. She can also strip away the shields off enemies as well, so she's very strong versus the Corpus. These guys have their robots too, so look out for those. And we also have these little noises coming from these containers right here. Get familiar with this noise because you're going to need to listen for it a lot during a lot of missions in this game. Because these are like known as rare containers technically, the ones that are glowing white. In this mission, they don't give anything good, but later on, they might, you know, be the difference between getting a Warframe part and not getting a Warframe part. So, yeah, just get familiar with that noise. So, all we have to do is push forward and open up this last container, and then we're going to be put back into our ship once we finish it. And then, yeah, we continue on with the quest. So I'm going to go ahead, get this last container, and I'll see you guys back in the ship. All right, so you're going to be put back into your ship, and now you have to build that little gadget that I showed you earlier. I waited for the cutscenes and stuff to end, because sometimes whenever you build this, it can get a little bit finicky and take a little while to register. So just let this timer run out. You can rush it at no cost at all to your premium currency platinum, which is up here in the top right. So we have 10 of them because we bought the slots earlier, because you start off with 50. But you just let this here do its thing to let the dialogue go, and then as soon as you back out of the Foundry, it should automatically play the animation to remove the little device from your foot and your arm. So let's see if this works. We go ahead, we press claim, and then we back out, and then it should automatically do it. There we go. So yeah, don't rush through that bit, because if you do, then it's going to take a little while for that to register. But that's not it. We still have to go and do another thing. So I will talk to you guys whenever we get into the next mission. All right, so this mission was all about just coming into the ship and then getting this little thing that we're about to pick up here. Now, you're going to notice that once we pick this up, we're going to get the option to save a bunch of colonists, being the yellow marker, or just extract. Go to the extraction, go towards the green marker, simply because, like, for the past 6 years, that yellow marker has, you know, yielded absolutely no bonuses whatsoever. So you just want to extract, get through the mission, and get back to the ship. Just don't waste your time going to the yellow marker, because it gets you absolutely nothing. And yeah, I'll see you guys back in the ship. Alright, so again, back in the ship, you want to come to the navigation console. Just go ahead and install this segment. And this is going to allow us to go and kill the guy that we have to kill. So I will see you guys in that mission. Alright, so we are basically right outside where we have to go to assassinate this this boss. This is known as an assassination mission. So, yep, we're just going to go ahead, jump on in here. Jump over to him. Little cinematic is going to play. He's going to talk to us. Going to talk a little bit of smack. And you can see his health bar and his shield at the top of the screen. What we want to be doing, if you have enough energy for it, energy are these little blue balls right here. They're stored, by the way. Use your radial blind ability, and then just walk up to him and melee him whenever he is not immune. So he's going to be immune whenever he's got the gray health bar, but then vulnerable whenever he's got the yellow and the blue, right? So right now, he's doing a little immunity phase thing. And we just about have enough energy to use our radial blind again. So we wait for his health bar to change back. We go ahead, we stun him. We walk up to him. And we just want to stab him again. I think the stun didn't work on him that time. But yeah, that's the first boss done. Really, really easy to do. You can also, like, you know, stun those enemies around you as well if you have enough energy for it. We got lucky enough to have enough energy to pull off the the 3 consecutive stuns, which was very nice. You might not get that lucky, but when in doubt, just bring the melee out and just keep on smacking them. But congratulations, once you complete this mission, you've basically completed the prologue quest for Warframe. So yeah, I'll see you guys back in the ship. And with all that being said, you've completed the Vor's Prize quest. Welcome to Warframe. Now this is the part where everybody gets confused and they start to leave the game because they have no idea what to do next. Warframe doesn't really have a tutorial. I basically am the tutorial for this game. That's why the beginner videos get so much traction. But yeah, there's a little bit of a tutorial in the codex. Like there's a training tab which you can come and read up on to brush up on your knowledge leading into the next episode. But in the next episode, I'll talk more about the direction that you should be going in and what we can do with the systems that are currently available to us to make the most out of modding our Warframes and leveling up and stuff like that, and explaining a little bit more in detail all the stuff that happened in today's video and, you know, your Warframe weapons, blah 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 blah. So yeah, with all that being said, that's pretty much it. If you have watched the video this far and you haven't signed up to the game, there's going to be a referral link in the description below which you can use to sign up, which will get you a 7-day XP booster, which is going to, of course, just speed up your progress a little bit. All I get from it is if you play the game and you purchase platinum, I'm going to get 10% off that platinum. It's not going to be subtracted from you, and I'm not getting like the actual money that you spent on the game. I'm getting the in-game currency platinum. 10% of what you bought is going to be added to my account. So yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked it, go ahead, hit that like button below. If you want to see more Warframe content from me, hit subscribe. Let me know what you struggle with in Warframe and what I should be covering on my YouTube channel, and I'll see you guys in the next video.